All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Coffee with a Career Coach. We have a special guest joining us, and I will introduce him in just a few minutes. But as usual, I'm going to introduce myself and share my coffee that I'm currently enjoying this morning. So I'm Erica O'Toole. I think you see me pretty much every Coffee with the Career Coach. You might be getting sick of me by now, but I'm a two-time alum from CMU in the fashion merchandising department. And have a husband who is also an alum, and we have our little future Tip, who is a 20-month-old. I usually share some of my personal family as well. And I'm an assistant director in the office. I work with our College of Education and Human Services and our First Impressions program and outreach programs. So today I was able to pick up Bigby, which is like one of my favorites, as you know. And I always get the caramel marbles and white lightning syrup, which is also my favorite. I've kind of taken it to the extreme and actually bought their syrup so I can make it at home, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or kind of pathetic, but I love their coffee. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to my good friend and colleague, Shelby Stein, and she's going to introduce our guest today.
Good morning. It's good to be back. I think last time I was here, we did an overview of Brazen before our first career fairs, and that was early September. So happy to be here and happy to also be joined by Eric. And again, we'll get to him here in a second. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Shelby Stein. I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Relations in the office, which basically means I, with the help of an amazing team, run, plan, and execute all of our career fairs, which this semester have been virtual. So it's been very exciting. 2 down, and then we have our big all major career fair happening this Friday, which we're super, super stoked about, and also why Eric is here. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I know, Erica, you always have Big Beat, and I always brew my black coffee from home. I'm about as boring as it gets, but it's easy. I can just keep it coming, no effort. But that being said, let's turn it over to Eric. Eric is a good friend and also a recruiter at Rocket Mortgage, who is a fantastic partner of CMU, long-standing relationship. When things were happening on campus, I would see you and your team multiple times a semester. So I do miss you, but we're still staying in touch virtually.
Sure.
So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization?
Absolutely. So glad to be on. So Eric Jones, I'm Senior Relations Manager with Rocket Mortgage. You've heard that Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans name, I'm sure, out there. But before we start, I want to say I'm actually have a little bit of Big B this morning too as well. I like the Red Bull with a splash of strawberries in it, right? That go-go juice keeps you going for the day. But been with the organization for 15 years. I'm happy to work in talent acquisition or HR. We have a large organization. So Rocket Mortgage just happens to be one of the brands that we promote. We have the opportunity to promote it with our partners here at CMU. There's Fathead, there's Bedrock, there's StockX, there's the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I know a lot of people always like, hey, Cleveland, LeBronless, right? So yes, those are some of our family of organizations. We also have offices not everywhere in the country, right? So you're looking at our headquarters being in Detroit, Michigan. We have an office in Cleveland, Ohio, one in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're able to service the country from those three locations. Rocket Mortgage brand and platform, where that home lending expert and walking people through one of the most important purchases of their life or that refinance. Things are going well, obviously, as well as they can in the pandemic, and we're doing our best to kind of give back, but we're also looking for talent, right? I think that's one of the reasons why we're on here today, to kind of give some tips and tricks about what you need to do to market yourself and make yourself what we call the obvious choice when it comes to an employer or a recruiter. So glad to be here for both of you guys.
Awesome. So we have a couple questions that we want to ask Eric as we have him today. So I'm just going to kick it off and ask our first question. So Eric, what are some things a student can do to stand out in a virtual environment?
It's a great question. I think be prepared. That's number one, right? Make sure you're always ready, never have to get ready, if that makes sense, right? So, in that virtual environment where you only have less time frame or to make that first impression, right? So, obviously, making sure you're in a quiet environment, making sure you're prepared with knowledge about the organization. You have your resume, you understand how you want to explain or communicate your resume to a recruiter, um, and be yourself. I mean, take a deep breath, right? Relax, and show your genuine self, and try to show the organization or that recruiter, whoever you're speaking to from that organization, why you're the obvious choice. Express your skills and how they relate to their organization. So, I would say number one and foremost, though, be prepared. Have you done your research, and then be prepared to present yourself, brand yourself, talk about yourself a little bit.
Awesome, thank you.
That's awesome. So one thing
Absolutely.
that I think goes without saying, we want to make sure that if you are watching this live and you have questions, make sure to drop them in. Erica will see those and make sure that that we all know what your questions are. If they're burning questions out there, we want to answer them. So Eric, before I ask you this question, I want to take just a second to kind of remind students about what to expect Friday. So our Alpha Kappa Psi Career Fair is sort of a two-part event. We have a morning session and we have an afternoon session. You will be in both, so that's fantastic. Rocket Mortgage will be in both.
Absolutely.
But you are a sponsor of the event, so we are happy to have you in both. Other organizations will only be in one session each. So make sure you go and handshake. You see who's going to be attending what session, do your research, like Eric said, and make sure you have a strategy and a plan. We would love to see students attend both, and they do require separate registration. So if you have any issues, questions, we think it's pretty clearly articulated in Handshake, but feel free to reach out to our team. But going into Brazen a bit and sort of leading into my next question, Eric, you participated in our first couple of events. And you had really good feedback for Brazen, which of course is music to my ears. So students, I kind of want to talk about what they can expect when they stand in line to chat with you. The conversation starts with a text chat, right? And then there is an option for
Yep.
audio and video. So, you initiate that audio or video with the student, but do you think it's important that they are dressed professionally? And how can a student kind of navigate that and introduce themselves? Do you have any tips in that area?
I always say to a student or person that's looking for a prospective opportunity is dress for the position that you want, not the position that you're in, right? And I'll say it again, dress for the position that you want, not the position that you're in. For instance, a lot of times you'll see me on the career fair. I'll probably have a pullover on or maybe a T-shirt that says Rocket Mortgage or whatever family of organization that we are representing. But I don't want you to mirror me. You should be dressed professional, the same way that you would present yourself if it was a face-to-face interaction, especially knowing this type of career fair. So, for men, you want to have a button-up shirt. If you have a sports coat, definitely wear that. But if not, if that's something you can afford, do your best to look your best, right? So button-up shirt. If you have a tie, wear that. For young ladies, dresses, skirts, nice blouse, all those type of things are acceptable, right? The the tricky part though, and it is a funny part. I'm gonna make a joke, a dad joke here, right? But you don't know if I have shorts on or jeans on right now, right? So the cool part is make sure you're presentable from a camera standpoint. So that means get in early, see what your camera view is, see what people can see from that view from an employer standpoint. They're going to be looking at all of these little quirky, quick things that maybe they wouldn't do face to face because it is that first impression. So make sure your backdrop is nice. You're presenting your hair and makeup and glasses and all those type of things, since we all have glasses on today, right? Um, Presentable, and you're presenting yourself the way that you want to be perceived.
That's great.
Perfect. And we do have a quick question that I'm going to pop up on the screen really quick. So if we chat in Brazen on Friday, what would be a next step and what would that look like? And I don't know if Shelby and Eric, you kind of want to tag team this one and to answer.
Yeah, how about I start and then I want to turn it over to Eric. So what students can expect in Brazen. So you have all these great conversations, you connect with Eric. He lets you know about all the positions that are available, and conversation's fantastic. You will have the ability at the end of the event to download your chat history, students. So you can see who you talked to, what that conversation was like, but what you will not have would be Eric's email address for follow-up. So that's where I'm going to turn it to you, Eric. How important is that? Is that something you would advise students to do to get that contact information when they're chatting with you?
Absolutely. I know one of the best practice that a lot of individuals from our particular recruiting team, they will share a couple different things in that chat with you, right? So they will share their email. Some will share their phone number, careers website. They will kind of let you know what the next steps are. But let's say that I'm frazzled. I haven't had my big B yet that morning, right? And I don't. As a student, as a candidate looking for an opportunity, that responsibility falls on you, right? So you have to be the one that says, hey, by the way, what are the next steps? How do things look like next? What's the next step in this process? Oh, and by the way, can I get your contact information? um, I don't think there's a recruiter or an organization on the planet that won't share that information with you, and if they don't, that might be a red flag for you, job seeker, as far as like, hey, is that an organization that I want to be at? Is that a place that I want to tie my name to? So it's okay to ask. That's part of that prep, right? You're presenting yourself. You would love for them to present themselves to you, but give you some form of communication. And it's okay to ask what that next steps look like and what those next things that you can be expecting look like.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so
Absolutely.
I think the next question is from me, but I just want to add a little something here too, since we've been kind of talking about preparation for the fair. We still have appointments open. So I know it's getting close to the fair. Fair is Friday, today's Wednesday, but between now and then, if you need to schedule an appointment for tomorrow, we still have appointments available. So go on Handshake, schedule with one of us if you have last minute questions on your resume, that elevator pitch, which is what I'm going to get to in the next question, or anything else that, maybe you just have some nerves you need to work out. We're more than happy to help you prep for that fair. So the next question I have is, if I'm a student and I don't know how to talk about myself or give an elevator pitch, do you have any advice for me?
Um, Sometimes call up a friend, right? Try to put yourself in as common of a place as this virtual world has us. So most of us have a smartphone, and if you don't, you have a computer or a person or a roommate or a loved one, and just practice. Let them know, hey, this is what I'm trying to get accomplished. I want to talk to you a little bit about myself. I don't want to be too wordy. I don't want to ramble, and just practice. I mean, we have a couple of days still yet, which are going to go quick, but you have a couple of days to kind of practice that elevator pitch. You want to keep it fairly simple, but you want to give enough energy and excitement so that recruiter or whoever you're speaking to wants to know more, right? I call that elevator pitch like your personal movie trailer, right? We all know movie trailers come out, well, when the theaters start to open again, right? But when those movie trailers come out, they give you bits and pieces. And the closer you get to Friday, some of those trailers change to gain that excitement. But talk about yourself, tell them what your degree is, what your potential degree is going to be, what you're looking for, and then kind of dive into maybe how your skill set can be a great match with that particular organization. And then kind of just sit back and let the conversation start to happen with your elevator pitch, right? And I'm different, but like I want you to have it memorized and understand it and know it, but don't have it so memorized and planned in your head that if your sound goes out during that conversation or the screen goes black and then it reappears, it throws you off. Know it well enough that you know it forward, backwards, left, right, in and out, right? So just it's talking about yourself. But the very first component is that you need to have a little composure and just take a deep breath. right? Nerves is usually what gets most individuals, especially when you talk about talking about yourself. That's like an embarrassing thing. I don't want to talk about myself, right? So calm down and just have a conversation. And hopefully the person you're talking to is going to receive that. And you'll figure that that elevator pitch, that 15 to 30 seconds, 45 seconds at the most, is turns into like a conversation. And then it's just like two friends talking to each other. And you're just trying to figure each other out.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm going to interject here quickly. I'm glad that two things stood out to me there, Eric, of what you just said. The first is basically preparation versus memorization. So I think to your point, like, yeah, I mean, know it and be confident in it, but not scripted, right? Like that's, I think one thing students think is like they practice and practice and practice, and then it is very clearly a sort of scripted, not very authentic, natural conversation. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And that second, I think students, when they think of their elevator pitch, it's like, okay, if you've never attended a career fair before, maybe this is your first one, you're thinking you're going to connect with Eric, video chat's going to happen, and then you're going to talk, and then it's going to end. Rest assured, our recruiters, like Eric, you can already tell, friendly people. This is not going to be, like you talk and then it ends and then it's very uncomfortable. I mean, this should really just sort of be a very organic first step in a conversation, right? Like you as the recruiter, you just want to know about them so that you know how to carry on the conversation for the next 10 or so minutes. So make sure when you're thinking about how to end that elevator pitch, it's not like this weird hard stop. It should really just kind of be an organic, you did your research on Rocket Mortgage. This is why you think you're a good fit. And what positions do you have available, Eric? You want it to kind of be organic in that way. So I think students often overthink it, but everything you said is right on. And I'm glad to hear it come from a recruiter because it is. It's just supposed to be a really cool way to introduce yourself. So that's awesome. Let's switch gears here briefly, Eric, if you don't mind, because we have you here. So I want to ask, what positions are you hiring for? And if you don't mind, how has COVID-19 impacted your organization? I know some cool things that's been happening on your end, but I'd love to hear it from you.
So I'll start off with how COVID has kind of affected us, and then I'll kind of roll that into some opportunities. So, I mean, I've been working remotely and most of our team members since March, right? So right around that same time frame, you guys stopped that in-person, face-to-face class, and we're all getting used to it. We're all now everything that we were doing in person, we're doing through a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting or something along those lines. So business is starting to get back to normal, right? Just more meetings where you're actually talking to a computer screen versus getting a chance to high five or fist bump someone. Business as a whole, though, it's been going well, and I say that in a half embarrassed type way because I know there's a lot of organizations out there that aren't doing well and they're struggling, and there's things that are happening. But our platform is one where it's internet driven, it's technology based. So this has really given us an opportunity to be able to reach out to clients and get some feedback and communication and be able to talk to them to where maybe before they weren't home or they didn't have that luxury to being able to work from home. So that has been good for the business. We've had something exciting that's happened. We went public as an organization. So we were a privately held organization for since the beginning, and roughly it's been about a month now. We had an IPO, so we are a publicly traded organization under Rock Companies on the New York Stock Exchange. So that was fairly cool in a pandemic state that we're in. So there were some cool happenings around that, and I think those were all positive for our organization. We had a fantastic internship program here recently where we had over 600 interns that joined us, and it was our first time doing it remote, and it worked. So I think that's kudos to the individuals that prep for that and prepare and get students acclimated to doing business virtually in this new world that we live in. So it's been good. It really has. And like again, I say that kind of half embarrassed just based off of knowing how the world is doing right now. But we are doing well. We're doing strong, and then that gives us the opportunity to have what next. The second part or the first part of that question is we have openings. Our internships have just been posted for 2021 on our careers website. That's myrocketcareer.com. And we're ready to start. We're ready to start recruiting for that. So not only do we have internship opportunities that are open, but we also still have our full-time based opportunities. We have opportunities in sales and technology, marketing and business support or sales support type roles. So, and that's just with Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. So that's not even including some of our family of companies. So definitely checking out our careers website and diving into that will kind of give a lot of insight. But we are planning to have another large internship program coming up in 2021. And we're prepared for it to be either virtual or face-to-face. So we're looking for some great candidates and looking really to grow the business through that program.
That's great. I'm going to interject, Eric. I know the next question would be yours. One question that I know I get asked a lot, Erica, I don't know if you experience the same with students, a lot of underclassmen, so freshmen, sophomores, that are hearing maybe from parents that they need to find an internship or really just want to find one, are really driven and between the freshman and sophomore years want to get an internship. What would be your advice to those students? Are you open to chatting with them for positions, and or can you hit on the importance of networking? It's never too early, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's never too early to put your personal brand out there, right? So our organization happens to be one that we do offer internships to freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, master's degree, PhD. There's no cap or limit based off of educational status that you're in, or if you're looking to transition from one industry to another. So yes, we call it an internship program, but that's more of just a naming sake. It's really an opportunity program is what I call it, right? And the opportunity is for a person to dive in and have some meaningful work and then try to help lay a foundation for themselves to earn a long-term career with us. So we look at that internship program and we have different opportunities and positions based off of experience, background, educational status, those type of things to put you in a spot where, yes, you will be challenged, but we're trying to make sure that you have a chance to succeed too as well. We want to see you put your best foot forward. So that's that first part. I missed the second part of that question there, Sylvia. I apologize.
No, really, you hit it. It was just, should a freshman that's listening to this attend the Career Fair Friday? I think the answer is yes. Do you have opportunities potentially? I think the answer there is yes as well. So that's fantastic. Yeah. I just think that a lot of underclassmen feel a bit anxious or unprepared, and I think you would agree with me, Eric. It's never too soon, whether you are pursuing an internship or not. Have those conversations. I mean, if you have a chance to talk to Eric multiple times a semester for the next year, and he gets to know you, I mean, that's amazing. And that's how, you land really impressive, good positions. So I'm glad. And I also knew that you guys do offer internships to underclassmen. So I kind of teed that up. I knew that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's amazing experience for our underclassmen. Erica, I know we're kind of closing in on time here. Do you have any final?
I do. I have one more question just because I've been getting it a lot from students. And just the nature of what I do, Eric, because I work with so many of our students. Is there anything, because I'm looking at resumes so often, is there anything that you can suggest for a student for Friday that can make them stand out as far as on those documents like their resume?
Have somebody else take a look at it, right? Okay. Sometimes the message that you have here that presents on a piece of paper or virtually now with your resume, just get another pair of eyes. Make sure it's very easy to follow, very easy to read. You have bullets, you have things maybe underlined to break off different sections. To your point, right, as a recruiter, there's tons and stacks of resumes that we look at. And the fatigue is real, right? Resume fatigue is real, where you're looking at resumes and they start to blend together. I'm going to give you my tip, a little inside information, right? I usually hold a resume far away from my face, or I stand away from my computer in the world we live in now and look at that resume. And I look to see where my eyes take me. And usually it will take me to anything that's bolded or anything that has a bullet beside it so that I can read to see what that information is. And when I say, and I want to preface, when I say bolded, the whole resume is not bolded, right? That's not what we want to do. But your name, experience, volunteer information, clubs, skills, you want to bold those sections of the resume so that, or underline them, or however you want to make sure it's presentable. But that is where recruiters' eyes are going to go, and they want to see what those first couple of lines or sentences underneath those headings looks like. And it needs to be easy. It needs to be proofread. Your grammar needs to be there. All those beautiful things so that you can present that personal trailer that we spoke about the right way to a recruiter, especially if you're sending it or you're planning on sharing it with them during the career fair process.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have one quick thing to add on that. So in Brazen, students watching this, when you register, you have the option to upload your resume. It is not required. I think Eric would probably agree with me. 10 out of 10, upload a resume. It is going to be hard for recruiters.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's going to be hard for them to really know your experience and the important things that Eric just talked about, what he's looking for, if there's no resume for them to review it. You can even during the event log out in Brazen and edit your registration form. So if you take Erica's advice, you already registered, uploaded a resume, but you meet with the team tomorrow, they have some really good feedback, you make edits, you can upload an updated resume. So make sure you do that. But we had a few students in the first events that didn't upload one. And I think you're really just kind of doing yourself a disservice, right? Make sure that you're selling yourself in every way that you can. So not required, highly encouraged that you upload that and catch our team and we'll make sure that we go over that with you.
Definitely. Perfect. Anything else to add? No?
Stop
Okay.
by. See me tomorrow. See me on Friday. Stop by and see me Friday, right? It's me, myself, and a couple of my other partners there. So definitely stop by. Stop by.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Coffee with a Career Coach. We all thank you. We hope you enjoyed your coffee with us. And thank you so much, Eric, for joining us. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Have a good Wednesday, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.